I'm pretty sure y'all know what a jury is. You've seen them in courtrooms, you've seen them at, well, councils and what have you. But have you ever, imagined that one would be formed of youngsters? You better believe it. Today I'm going to be talking about what I believe was the very first ever game show to feature kids and what have you. And they help out with anybody's problems. So today on the wide world of game shows, it's Juvenile Jury. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews presents Wide World of Game Shows. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. This here's the Big D, of course, and I'm back with another episode of my Wide World of Game Shows series. Today, I'm going to be talking about a really rarity of a game, but it's, well, maybe different than what you could get from other game shows. Now, of course, I'm sure your grandparents, if they are still around, grew up watching the old game shows back from long ago, or your great grandparents. I'm just trying to say, if they've seen shows like To Tell the Truth, Beat the Clock, What's My Line, I've Got a Secret, and others. But there was this one game that I never knew existed that came out long ago. But you better believe it. It's a game show that featured a group of youngsters that helped out in solving problems. So prepare yourselves now as I bring to you Juvenile Jury. Juvenile or Juvenile Jury, as whichever way you'd like to pronounce it, was a game show that featured kids helping kids or even grown-ups out with problems. The series originally started on NBC TV in 1947. I will talk a little bit about this, but there were some other versions of this. I'll get to them in just a little bit. The show was produced by Jack Berry Productions, whom Jack Berry was the series' original host. Now, of course, Geritol was the series sponsor when it first started out. Anyway, the, the program was a series for kids where a panel of 5 kids solved people's problems. The premise of the show was that the group, the juvenile or juvenile jury, was a panel of 5 young children, 10 and below, although they did later extend it to maybe less than 12 years or what have you. They were presented problems sent in by the studio audience and their home viewers. Usually, they were problems of other kids. Occasionally, celebrity guests would come and present problems of their own. Anyway, yes. It's also this was also famous for a popular um, catchphrase of the tagline, out of the mouths of babes, of times become gems. Now then, I am going to say that I have seen the show before, but not the original series though. Now, Jack Berry was the series host and producer, and this was still before the quiz show scandal and what have you. Now, the series originally started on NBC in 1947 and ran till 1953. Then the show came back in 1954 on CBS. The show originally started as a radio program on New York's WOR, but then successfully made the transition to television. Now, in 1953, in an episode, a 4-year-old panelist claimed that she was told the questions or problems the night before, and further claimed that her answer to the first problem was what my mommy told me to say. And Barry then, and again several times during the remainder of the episode, tried to assure the audience that what the young lady named Michelle Fogel said was not the case. Anyway, in the late 1940s, the series was the subject of two court cases. The jury in a New York federal court rejected William Evans' suit for $600,000 damages. He said that when Barry and other defendants began the series on WOR, the program's concept was one that he had created but was rejected after he submitted to WGN a few months prior to the series debut. Meanwhile, a New York Supreme Court case had Carol Marshall suing for piracy, saying that she created an unproduced radio program called Junior Judges, on which the series infringed. Now, of course, I am going to say that the NBC version is believed to have been destroyed as per network practices. Now, two episodes, including the 1953 episode, have been released on DVD, while two others are held by the Paley Center for Media. Now, of course, the series was black and white and what have you. Still, I am going to say that while I've never watched the actual original version, I will mostly be focusing on the later series. So I hope you're ready for it because we're about to get into the later series. Here we go. In 1970, the series returned, but in syndication. Long after the quiz show scandals was over with, this was what actually put Jack Barry back on the map. Before he even hosted the Joker's Wild a couple of years later. Now, this version of Juvenile Jury, which I think was a pretty good one, had all sorts of children, and they would do what they can to answer questions and what have you. I've got to say, it's really good, and it sure did have a lot of fun things. Now, here, let me give you a good look at the set. I know it's in black and white, but here it is. Here's a shot of one group of the juvenile jury, and there's Jack Barry and someone else. I'm not sure who it is, though, but if you know who it is, let me know. I'm sorry the picture's black and white, though. Now, this series had a lot of wonderful youngsters and what have you, and I really liked that. The show actually did provide some special guests and what have you, where if it was maybe Jackie Vernon, you may know him as best as the voice of Frosty the Snowman from the classic special, and lots of others. Here's one shot I can find, I can share with you. Stand by. Here's a little bit of a picture of Jack Barry along with Zsa Zsa Gabor. Yes, now they would appear about. Now the celebrity guests would appear about in the halfway portion of the show. Now later on in the end, in some episodes, they would ask one member in the audience a question, and the jury would have to give their answers and what have you. And I think that was pretty decent too. So anyway, I think this Juvenile Jury was absolutely a very good show. I wish there was more of this to relive because I could only find a couple of episodes. And one in a two-part audio of one episode, the episode with Jackie Vernon. Now, one of those vids was actually one episode that was shown on the very first day the Game Show Network premiered, whom they actually re-aired this version along with the other series I'll be into in just a second. But I think this version of Juvenile Jury, I think this one is probably the best of them all. Because I think the kids were absolutely very good. Some of them were pretty funny and what have you. But I think it was just so good. It only lasted like 50 something episodes and well, it was gone. But of the whole, it did make a comeback again, but this time in the 80s. Around 1983, the series was back, but this time with an African American feel to it, and was hosted by funny man and talent who was also pretty talented, Nipsey Russell, and was actually titled Nipsey Russell's Juvenile Jury, created specifically for broadcast on a cable channel that was actually kind of new. BET. Yes, you heard me correctly. Game Show Network also aired this version. I barely caught a little bit of this, but now I saw some of it. Now I can find a couple episodes on YouTube as well. Now, of course, you know, like most variant Enright shows, because this version was produced by Bo Jack Berry and his partner Dan Enright. Anyway, this show did last a little bit longer, and enter this. Though this was short lived, this was the first original game show for BET, and one of the few in game show history to feature a predominantly African American audience. It's now for its theme songs, I will say it's different than what we heard with the other one. We heard a nice little number with some horns in it for the syndicated version with Jack Berry. Now, for the Nipsey Russell series, they actually used the theme music for another previous series Barry and Enright produced, which was their 1980 game show Play of Percentages. Now, one episode more recently got put up on the YouTube channel The Game Show Vault, which was formerly Wink Martindale's Vault. May Wink rest in peace. It's now called the Game Show Vault, and you can actually find a full episode on there, which actually features a guest appearance by the legendary singer Barry White. I watched it and I really liked it. It was pretty good. I hope they can find more episodes of this one. Now I can't find no card for this one because this only lasted a short time. But then in 1989, Russell returned and hosted a new series called The New Juvenile Jury. But, well, I'm not sure where if we can find any of this one, though. This is probably long lost and what have you. And this came out in 1989, just before the revivals of Tic Tac Toe and the Joker's Wild premiere in syndication. But anyway, yes. So apparently, this one proved to be a pretty good series. The Nipsey Russell Juvenile Jury I thought was not too bad. Now it looks like I'm sorry I can't find no shots from it, just the title card. But I will tell you this that even so, with a group of kids, Juvenile Jury is definitely one great kids game show. And believe me, if we didn't have Juvenile Jury, then we could have gotten other kids games to follow, like the Quiz Kids or Child's Play or Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader or just about anything. Some of those games with kids or that involve kids wouldn't have been here today if it hadn't been for Juvenile Jury. Well, in my opinion, anyway, but you be the judge. Anyway, if you can ever find Juvenile Jury, I would recommend you check. If you really want to check out the classic black and white series from long ago, you're more than welcome to. But if you can find any more of the 70s Jack Berry hosted or the Nipsey Russell Juvenile Juries, then I'd say I'd recommend you try those. Try watching those. I think you'll really like them. And I think your kids will like them too. This is a series I feel like should be brought back someday, but I'd say it's unlikely. But you never can tell. So that's going to do it. Juvenile Jury, good game show with great kids and what have you. So, have you ever watched Juvenile Jury? If so, which version have you seen? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And you know the rest. Again, I'm still 2 subs away from 1,000. I still hope for the best. I can still make it before the month's over with. Anyway, join me next time when I bring to you my Jean Claude Van Damme flicks ranking. I'm looking forward to doing it. Gotta get it ready though, but it shouldn't take too long. So if you like this, check out the episodes for some of these other game shows that had kids on them. In the upper left hand corner is the most watched episode of the Wide World of Game Shows, and that was Jeb, the kids' version of Jeopardy from 1998. Or if you'd like, go to the upper right hand corner and you can check out the Wide World Game Shows episode I did on the kids' version of Wheel of Fortune, Wheel 2000 from 97. Or if you'd like, go to the bottom left hand corner and see the previous episode of Wide World Game Shows where I talk about the Quiz Kids Challenge from 1990. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the Wide World of Game Shows. Then I'm your guy, and we will have another episode of Wide World Game Shows coming up sometime down the road. Details to follow when it comes, okay? So until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.